Right.
Of the Mandalay Bay and the casino, telling employees to donate to super hardcore leftist cop killer associated groups.
Yeah, I have exclusively obtained an internal memo that Jim Moran, the CEO of MGM Resorts, which owns Mandalay, where this attack took place. And if you read it, you can see that he's telling his employees that he will match donations if they donate to groups like CARE, which is a terrorist organization, SBLC, which the FBI cut ties with over their own, inspiration of domestic terrorism, and then the ADL, which of course is very anti-Trump. So he's funneling in millions of dollars worth of, company shareholder money to fund these, radical Islamic and anti-Trump organizations. And I agree with you, Alex. I think this is a false flag. I don't think that ISIS is just going to claim responsibility for an attack that they didn't have anything to do with. I was on your show about 2 weeks ago, and you and I were discussing how Antifa is now adopting ISIS tactics. And we've seen over the past few months that the left has aligned itself with Islam. We see it through the Women's March. We see it with the way they create their own logos, infusing them with women wearing hijabs, and they cover their face in black attire, just like ISIS, and they wave black flags.
Yeah, the left is merging with radical Islam. Linda Saussure, we're being force-fed it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, my friends, this is Joseph Zabrowski from Our Fathers Productions. In a moment, I'm just going to show you a series of clips so that you can have a good understanding as to what really went on in Las Vegas. This is another false flag by the communist, demonic left, the enemy within America, the cancer that we must purge in order to have our country back and have true freedom in America. The title of this video may very well be that we need to indict, it's time to indict CNN, MSNBC, and that's exactly what I mean, and all leftist groups in America, because leftists have nothing to do with being a liberal. Liberal is completely contrary to a leftist. Real liberal is Thomas Jefferson. Leftists are communists. It's just another name for communists, and they are in our country, and we need to purge them. Of course, I'm not saying that we should get physical with them, although that's exactly what they want. They want a physical civil war here in America so that there is blood on the streets. They have killed our brothers and sisters over and over, and that should be a reason that we take a stand. There have been millions of people who have died for our freedom in America, and the left has absolutely no argument. They cannot address any questions by Americans that are asked them on a continual basis. They have no answers for any of the questions that Americans pose to them. They just say, kill Trump, get rid of Trump. That's all they say. This is not so much about Trump. This is about America. And we really need to make a concerted effort, Americans, especially Christians, because this is a spiritual battle. No matter what happens in America, no matter all the good things that are going on in America, this demonic leftist movement just continues. And that is a clear indication that this is not just a physical battle, this is a spiritual battle. There is no physical entity that could just continue to just move and move and move after they've been brought down so many times. They just keep going, and that tells us it's a spiritual battle. And you are not going to win a spiritual battle purely through a physical means. We have to win the spiritual battle, my friends, and I'm looking for people. Please contact me. I'll put my email below this video. We need to get together people who know what's going on in the country so that we can come together and pray intelligently, that the Lord will bring down this evil in America, that will break the back of Satan, and that we can win this battle. We must first win the spiritual battle if we want to win the physical battle. We have numerous groups on the physical level fighting this battle, but we have so few groups that are actually coming together in the spirit of God's word, where two or more are gathered in your name, I am there with you, who are coming together to intelligently, keyword intelligently, pray for what is going on. We need people praying who know what's going on so we can pray for these specific issues. God knows what we're going to pray before we ask it. And so there's, that's complete truth. But it really helps that when we have people who can come together and pray about these specific issues that need to be prayed for, so that when we are praying, people aren't feeling like, oh, I can't believe he's praying that. We have like minds coming together to pray. So I'll put my email address below here, and please contact me if you want to get involved in our group to pray intelligently for America. So I'm going to continue with this series of clips, and just know that we have an enemy in America. They are all on the same team, my friends. I have told you this so many times. You know, actually I took some time away because I was hoping that we were in a clearing. We have made so much progress over the last 8 or 9 months. We are winning the battle here in America. Americans are waking up far and wide, but this enemy that is here in America is, as I said, they're not going to stop. This is a spiritual battle, and we, the people of America, especially the Christians, need to be standing up because it is a spiritual battle. What greater thing can any Christian do than to stand up against this evil in their country, this evil that threatens their viability, their success for their future, just the fact that they can have a life in the future and a life for their families. There's no greater battle to fight, my friends. This is the spiritual battle for every Christian. That means we're not supposed to just go to church and think that we're doing our job, okay? We obviously have to be praying, but we got to be standing up in the marketplace. And I'm going to show you as we continue here. You're going to see a woman. This is a woman who's actually in the center of the fight, and she's fighting the battle. And I ask that you men will take a look at this. I mean, you know, and even, of course, you women, because there's women out there all over the place who are fighting this battle, and she's just one of them. So we need to come together, and all of us need to come together and fight. We need to get class action lawsuits. I don't know anything about class action lawsuits other than the word, but I'm sure there's attorneys out here who are listening to this. We need to get people coming together, bring class action lawsuits against CNN, MSNBC, and all the left groups, Southern Poverty Law Center, all these fake, semantically deceptive groups who think that Americans are stupid and they can just behind the scenes just do all their evil while they have a nice name like Southern Poverty Law Center, the ACLU, American Communist Lawyers Union, CNN. These are all enemies of America trying to overthrow our country, and they are killing our brothers and sisters, my friends. You just saw over 50 of our brothers and sisters killed going to a country concert. This is total Americana, and there's a reason for it. And you're going to see that this is a false flag. So let's go into the clips right now. One moment here.
Absolutely. With the election of Trump, a lot of people felt, oh, phew, you know, finally we can let our guard down and everything's going to be fine. And in fact, we're moving towards deregulating silencers and perhaps national reciprocity, which would be a huge win for gun culture in America. And then this happens. And obviously people are shocked, and so they should be. It is a terrible, horrific event. But once again, it has nothing to do with legal gun owners, with sane, legal, rational American gun owners who have the right to keep and bear arms, which, by the way, doesn't depend on events. It doesn't depend on democracy. It's our natural, civil, and constitutionally protected rights. So no matter what some nutcase does, that doesn't affect my rights, or at least it shouldn't. And once again, we're back in the trenches fighting for our gun rights. It's how it's always going to be, because obviously people who want to impose a progressive agenda on America, which is basically large government, statist, want to take away our guns. They want to take away our gun rights, because if we're disarmed, we're easily manipulated.
Mexico has a basic gun ban for the citizens, one of the strictest in the world. They have one of the highest crime rates, if not the highest crime rate, because only the bad guys in government have guns. Chicago has a gun ban, basically. They have the highest crime rate in the United States, maybe the world, for a city. I mean, the facts are in. Gun culture has driven down crime, close to 60% since 1992.
Well, you're making a practical argument. And once again, you don't have to make that argument. Each of us has an individual right to keep and bear arms, regardless.
Yeah, why do I lose my freedoms? Because a nut job goes up there. But how could he get 40 guns in the hotel to begin with when everybody knows he was there 5 days? The hotel maids dig through everything.
I think the total was 23 at the end of the day he had up in the hotel.
Now they're saying 40. So who knows?
Well, he put a lot of guns up there. By the way, it is important to know that the Mandalay Bay Hotel is a gun-free zone. You're not allowed to bring guns into that hotel.
Okay, did you hear that? The Mandalay Bay is a gun-free zone, okay? They have laws there instituted in that state, okay? And look what happened. So these people are trying to stop our Second Amendment. They're always trying to make things gun-free zones. This is where it's happening. It happens over and over again.
So he broke that law. And, by the way, he broke the law against murder. So people who are willing to commit mass murder, willing to commit crimes with guns, with bombs, with other methods, cars, they're not going to be stopped by laws, obviously.
And we're on over 200 plus stations, so there's a lot of new listeners tuning.
Okay, next.
In the casino, telling employees to donate to super hardcore leftist cop killer associated groups.
Yeah, I have exclusively obtained an internal memo that Jim Moran, the CEO of MGM Resorts, which owns Mandalay, where this attack took place. And if you read it, you can see that he's telling his employees that he will match donations if they donate to groups like CARE, which is a terrorist organization, SBLC, which the FBI cut ties with over their own, inspiration of domestic terrorism, and then the ADL, which of course is very anti-Trump. So he's funneling in millions of dollars worth of, company shareholder money to fund these, radical Islamic and anti-Trump organizations. And I agree with you, Alex. I think this is a false flag. I don't think that ISIS is just going to claim responsibility for an attack that they didn't have anything to do with.
I know that we played that, but you can never hear it enough, so we're going to go to the next clip.
Well, I would just like to read something, a message that I received from somebody who has direct access to the booking information at the Mandalay. It's going to take a minute, but it's really important. So there are two separate rooms that this guy booked. It's not one room as the police are trying to say. They're trying to say that it's a suite. It's actually two separate rooms. And he could have booked them at the same time, but the suite had his name on it, and the other room had his girlfriend's name on it. So first we're being told that the girlfriend is in the Philippines, and then, when all of this was happening and they released her name as a suspect, they said that they had detained her. But then we find out that she's in the Philippines, which, as we know, has a huge ISIS problem right now. I mean, ISIS has totally taken over the town of Marari, so the girlfriend has an Islamic angle as well. There were room changes for and charges for both of the rooms, so they redirected where room service was going. So that's a big red flag right there, because if he was setting up this killer environment full of assault rifles and all of these other weapons and explosives like tannerite to kill people, that would explain why he redirected room service charges to the other room, which he had placed in his girlfriend's name. They said typically the room will be taken care of as well if the VIP guests gamble enough on their trip. It's possible that they had a relationship with the CEO, with him being a platinum
clearly he was clearly, whether he's a patsy or not, as a cutout, he was being protected. Right. When you check in, they come when you leave, they search your crap. Every time they come, they toss your room like it's a prison. I mean, 5 days, 42 weapons. He was being protected. And it's a big George Soros CEO. Right on time, Laura.
Did you hear that? A big George Soros CEO. And this is what I keep telling you, that these people are all on the same teams, my friend. They're all on the same team. They are a cancer in America. And if we the people do not uproot this cancer, we're going to die from these people. This is literally what's going on. If we do not start getting out there and getting off of our couches and doing something, we're going to die. To vote is not enough. To pray is not enough. Okay? We got to vote, pray, and do something. Okay? I am urging you. I am encouraging you for the fight of our country, for the life of our country, for the people who have died for our country. These people are all on the same team, and this is the battle. Okay? It is a spiritual battle. It is a physical battle as well. We have to get out there and win the spiritual battle, number one. You will not fully win the physical battle until you win the spiritual battle. So please, there's a link below this video. Contact me if you want. If you are an informed citizen who wants to pray intelligently for our country, we can at least start doing that, and then making moves toward doing much more.
Right, and then also, I don't know if you know this or not, but in the past few weeks, he wired $100,000 to the Philippines. Why is he wiring $100,000 to a country that's being ravaged by ISIS right now?
Well, it's clear where he's getting. It's clear where he's. I mean, we know the Islamists will pay $1 million for something like this.
Who is getting this money? $100,000 can pay for a lot of ammunition, a lot of guns, a lot of tannerite, and God knows what else he had in his properties that police are not telling us about.
And they're saying none of this was bought in stores. He obviously had massive help. That's the big takeaway.
Right. Yeah, and we know that gun control is not going to stop these people. Look at the Bataclan in France, for example. This looks like a replica of the Bataclan attack that took place in Paris. Paris has very strong and tough gun laws, and those mass murder jihadi terrorists were able to get enough ammunition to, open fire on hundreds of people inside a concert hall and injure, or kill, 130 people? How many people died in
the Eagles of Death. Laura, please.
I want you to see this.
Early days. We don't know his political affiliations. It would certainly help to know that. But the
looks like him. I'm sorry. Wow. I hadn't seen this video. Wow. I saw the other ones. And he reportedly used to live in Florida. And so
look at that. One of the groups, anti-Trump, Antifa group. Is that the same guy? Take a look for yourself. You judge. You be the judge. Don't let the lying machine media tell you what the truth is. You be the judge. Is that the same guy? He even has the beard just like this one. Or whatever that is, goatee.
A little NASA shirt?
Yeah, he had an ex-wife in California as well. He may have purchased some firearms in California. That was reported, which is really bad news for California.
And this is where is this in, where was this? I know this was in Nevada, but where, Michael?
It was in Reno, Nevada in August, so this is fairly recent. And, this is...
Okay, in Nevada, where the crime took place. You're seeing the pictures. A guy that looks just like him, I'm sure it's him, okay? You're seeing it right in front of your eyes.
Disturbing because we're seeing these guys snap like at the baseball field in Virginia.
Well, yeah, that guy said, I'm going out to kill Republicans, and the media celebrated it. They said, #hunt Republicans.
Yeah,
that looks, I'm sorry, that last video looks like him. I'm sorry, bone structure, the way he smiles, he looks like an idiot. I'm not saying that's the guy, but let's go back to that last video. Holy Toledo. I'm telling you, that looks like his eyes, his smile.
Well, we can certainly find that out. That information should be available.
Okay. Now we're going to go to this last clip here.
Shooting for notoriety's sake and nothing more is a young man's crime. And this is a 64-year-old with no dramatic mental illness, no major decline, someone who's intact. I think if we want to understand what's behind the crime, we should look at James Hodgkinson, the shooter of Congressman Scalise, because that crime itself was intended to be a spectacle and of much bigger scope. Imagine this. What he intended to do, Hodgkinson, was not only kill all of those lawmakers,
Republicans,
but in doing so, we would have had to have special elections to replace all of them. And if it weren't for the security people who intercepted him, you had all kinds of congressmen and lawmakers in a dugout, defenseless, who would have been mowed down.
See, my friends, if you didn't understand, and I'm sure you do, but just in case, they were trying to get rid of, some of the only people who stand up for America in our country. They're trying to get it all in one fell swoop. Rand Paul was one of those. One of the biggest statesmen, real Americans in our government. He was in that group. Okay.
The point is, a spectacle is either designed to cause some derivative impact or to instigate some cause discussion. So the point is, he's an older man. There's no definable mental history or decline, and yet it happens now. Now, if there is a cause, there will be a manifesto, there will be a communication with the television or other kind of media or social media. It will be out there. If there's nothing to necessarily tie him to a cause, then instigating is enough. And that's exactly what the parallel is with another older man's crime, Hodgkinson, spectacle crime, just like the person who flew a plane into the IRS. People who commit crimes for notoriety alone are young, and he's not.
What about genetics? Because his dad was on the FBI most wanted list, was a bank robber.
Well, the genetics of psychopathy are, of course, 50% we inherit roughly, but in terms of the genetics of psychopathy, they may be as important as environment. One thing that you want to appreciate about the
Doctor,
mass
I just want to
killer,
hold on one second.
Yeah.
I'm splitting the screen with the President of the United States. He's arriving at Joint Base Andrews, and he's going to be heading over to Puerto Rico shortly. Of course, he greets the military who escorts him over to Air Force One. Okay, go ahead.
Tying into the president, people who commit mass killings of folks that they don't know have to be detached. And he's detached. He's many floors away. He's killing them through a scope. They're dehumanized. Here's the big take home in terms of what we can do to prevent. Absolutely, people who are gun enthusiasts and who are populists or nationalists in this country are dehumanized. They're demonized. I travel all over the United States. I don't experience hatred. I turn on the television in certain media, and I see these people demonized. When you have a CBS News executive who talks about not having sympathy, the point is his mindset is that they deserve to die.
Yes.
And so a person who adopts a cause may be otherwise law-abiding, but he feels righteously justified that the end justifies the means. So,
Do you see what he just said there? In other words, media groups, they're not even media groups, they're just propaganda groups, political propaganda groups like CNN, MSNBC, and so forth. They are leading the people on, giving them justification to do these crimes like this guy just did in Las Vegas and numerous others. Even though these guys are facilitated by people who are on the same team like George Soros, they're funding it. How did that guy get a room for 5 nights and have 23 to 40 pieces of firearms in his room with ammunition? How in the world does that happen? I mean, that is just a simple question. How can you get by that? How could he possibly have gotten all those firearms in his room with nobody seeing it and be in the room for 5 days? Okay, and then they're all working on the same team. You got CNN, MSNBC, CBS. They're all on the same team, just shouting the same lies, the same propaganda, and people, every once in a while there probably will be some psychopath who is completely brainwashed and will go out and do a crime like this. But you can be guaranteed that the vast majority of these are planned events, and they're killing our brothers and sisters. Okay, they're killing our brothers and sisters. We're supposed to love our brothers and sisters according to God and His Word. Okay? So it's our job to do something. And like I said, especially if there's anybody out there who knows, attorneys, a class action lawsuit. I don't even know if you can do a class action lawsuit. You probably can against CNN, MSNBC, against the left, the enemy in this country. We need to start taking action and doing something. And by the way, my friends, we are now in a position, okay, it's not as dangerous as it was when we had that that imposter in the office of president before Trump. Okay, we were under siege. Okay, there were guns literally almost pointed at our foreheads. Okay, the people who stand up for the Constitution and so forth. Now, because we have a real American in the office of president, things aren't, you can stand up. You don't have to be afraid as much as you were before. Okay, believe me, I can just tell you, standing up at that time, I made a movie that was about this kind of stuff, and they were listening to my phone calls, okay? I had a friend, an associate I was doing business with about the movie. She knew that they were listening to our phone. We heard them every night. They took down our movie from DirecTV, okay? After three newspapers did favorable articles. DirecTV is part of the establishment media, and they all work together. That's how it works. So you guys, it's a lot easier now, okay? The environment is much easier than it was a year ago. So that should give you more encouragement to stand up and start doing something. Okay, so let's finish this.
Talking now about gun control because he committed an over-the-top gun crime. Doesn't mean that guns was the ideology. What I'm saying is it's the idea of instigating and a means to an end with people you dehumanize.
All right, let's back up.
Whether it's this or racism.
Who are you shooting at? You said look at the target and work your way backwards.
That's right.
What do country music fans and country music artists represent?
It's Americana. It could be guns. I'm not suggesting that I know the ideology. Look, it could be that he had an issue with Las Vegas, but my point is, because this is a national event, it's in Las Vegas, but my point is cause is pointed out by what he says. He's going to either lay it out or he's smart enough to know what this would instigate. Otherwise, one can't speculate. What I am saying is when you kill complete strangers and try to kill as many as possible, you're trying to create a spectacle. And when you're not a young person, you've evolved past the immaturity that says, if I kill as many people as I can, people will think I'm somebody. He's more mature than that.
Jeff
He's lived his life.
Zeleny says that this is, country music fans for the most part are Republican, and the president, by showing this type of sympathy, is doing something for his base. Is he, country music fans, symbolic of Republicans?
Well, I think that CNN's going to have to answer for how they demonize gun enthusiasts and how CNN actually contributes to mass shooting.
There you go, my friends. That's the point I want to make. CNN, MSNBC, CBS, and all these leftist, keyword leftist, communist groups, okay, propagandized groups, are one of the main culprits of what just went on and what will continue to go on unless we take matters into our hands. It is time to indict CNN. It's time to indict MSNBC. It's time to indict the people who are creating this propaganda and brainwashing our brothers and sisters in our country, and which leads to killing our brothers and sisters in our country and in the world. Okay, this is an establishment, globalist establishment that wants to be rulers of the world, one world government, because they're a bunch of psychopath criminals, okay? They want to control America, who is the leader of the world, and by doing so, they will control the world. And we are winning the battle right now, and my friends, it's time to stand up. If you haven't stood up in the past, now's the easiest time to stand up. Get off of your couches and start standing up. And please, the link below, there's an email below this video, contact me. We need to pray intelligently for our country. So that is it. Joseph Zabrowski from Our Father's Productions. Till next time, take care and God bless. I hope to meet you upon sending me an email. That is it. Take care. God bless.